What do we want? GPP. When do we want it? Now! What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. These are my NFL DFS picks for Week 16. If you love waivers, DFS, and the best draft videos, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit that bell icon so you won't miss any future videos. We're going to try to keep this video short and sweet with my elite picks, with my cheat picks, and my great value picks, and of course my GPP picks. Let's try to keep it to close to 10 minutes. When it comes to quarterbacks, I am intrigued by Ben Roethlisberger, but Juju Smith-Schuster is legitimately questionable as far as I can tell, and it's an away game. Not that that makes a huge difference, but what does make a huge difference to me is the price. He's the most expensive quarterback on the main slate, and we're gonna just focus on main slates to keep this video simple. The price ranges and contests, they just change up, so we're just focusing on the main slate Sunday games. I actually like Deshaun Watson, but only if QT and Hopkins are both healthy and playing. I think Watson is so much better if he has a guy like Will Fuller or a guy like QT he can rely to. Not really many options in the pass game other than Hopkins, so if he can get a second or third option to throw to, it's going to help him a lot more, and it's going to open up those running lanes because opposing defenses are so focused on stopping those receivers. I wouldn't be shocked either way if Hopkins and QT sits, if one of them's able to play, if none of them, or whatever the case may be, maybe both of them play. I don't know, but you'll be able to check because the Texans kick off early Sunday. One of my favorite quarterbacks is Drew Brees. The price is pretty expensive, but I feel like this is going to be a great bounce back game for Brees. Hasn't played at home in quite a while, and he's just way better at home. Let's take a look at how he is at home versus on the road. Home games, 28 fantasy points. Away games, 17 fantasy points. He does nearly twice as good at home than he does away. And defenses have kind of called their number. They know what's going to happen on third down. Hey, Drew Brees is throwing to Mike Thomas. Drew Brees is throwing to Kamara. Let's shut those guys down. Easier said than done. I think at home, Drew Brees is going to be able to know what to do pre-snap, going to be able to orchestrate that offense and make every single third down play count and convert it and keep moving the balls. I think we're going to see that old school Drew Brees that we've seen like week 5, week 6 early on in the season. I like Kirk Cousins as a high floor quarterback. He'll do good. I just don't know if the Lions are going to be able to put up enough points for the Vikings to need to throw the ball in the second half. So similar to what happened last game when the Vikings faced the Dolphins, Kirk Cousins threw one touchdown, then he didn't need to throw the ball anymore. It was just all Latavius Murray, all Dalvin Cook. Maybe that type of game script again. Maybe not. Nonetheless, I love Kirk Cousins. I love Adam Thielen this week going against the Lions. This is so weird to say out loud. It is, but it's true. Look, season long is a bit different than DFS. And my favorite DFS quarterback this week is Dak Prescott. Let me see. I'm trying to find him. 5,700. Super cheap. Had a horrible game last week against the Colts. They got shut out, but this should be a great bounce back game. They're playing at home. The matchup couldn't get any better, and Amari Cooper is following this pattern by the book, having one great game, one horrible game, one great game, and last week was a horrible game. Maybe he'll have that great game against the Tampa Bay Bucks. The floor is not there, and in season-long leagues, I'm telling people not to start Dak Prescott because we don't trust him. He's just not that good of a passer, but the upside is there. Didn't he have a 30-point game recently? Week 14 against the Eagles, nobody picked this guy. Not in season long, not in DFS, not in GPPs. Nobody owned him. Nobody picked him. I overlooked him as well as he's going against the Eagles. Could be a close game. Kind of was, and it went to OT. And with it, he played well. He passed very well, threw for over 455 yards, made a huge play in overtime. Nonetheless, he does have that upside. He doesn't have that floor though. His floor is way down and his ceiling is way high, and that's what we love in GBP. And with this price, you can be able to afford a lot of upscale players. With running backs, just wanted to note that Todd Gurley is questionable. CJ Anderson's probably not going to be on most DFS platforms. He might be the starter if Todd Gurley is out, and what a sweet matchup going against the Cardinals. Probably the sweetest matchup that any running back could want. My favorite running back as far as like top 10 goes is Nick Chubb. I feel like the floor is there, the ceiling is there, the matchup is there, the game script is there, everything, and of course the talent is there. Everything adds up for this guy. He's also been surprisingly a pretty good passer. Been getting a decent amount of targets, basically 3 per game, which isn't a ton, but he's done some work in the receiving game, which I didn't think he would. I guess it was a misnomer that he can't catch, because he actually can. A lot of people have Mixon ranked ahead of Chubb, and I'm a huge Mixon fan, and I just think that the Browns are going to stack the box and try to focus on stopping Joe Mixon because Tyler Boyd is out. Therefore, I'm ranking Nick Chubb ahead of Joe Mixon. For GPPs, if you want some risk, you can try Leonard Fournette, price $6,000. He cannot be trusted. You can also try Marlon Mack in a very similar game script to last week when the Colts whooped on the Cowboys, and it was a Marlon Mack type game script. Luck didn't need to throw the ball. This could be a similar situation going against the Giants. No Odell Beckham. Giants won't be able to put up a lot of points. Jamal Williams might be kind of chalky, pretty cheap. Questionable, 5,400 going against the Jets. But I'm actually, when I was looking through this list, I'm actually not as excited about Jamal Williams. I'm more excited about Tevin Coleman, and I just didn't realize that his price would be this low. This is insanely low, with Devontae Freeman, of course, didn't really play this year. He's out. And Ito Smith is on IR. Tevin Coleman seems to be the workhorse. Yes, he's not like a shoe-in to be a 20 carry type guy. Like, it's not guaranteed. But for this price, how could he not reach value? I like Tevin Coleman in all formats. Price $4,800. That's fairly cheap. He should be priced, I'd say, about $5,600, something like that. Like, right in between where Mack and Fournette is. But he's not. He's nearly $1,000 cheaper than his salary should be. And a couple super punts here. We have at $3,700, Kalen Ballage. That is super cheap, man. You'll be able to afford a lot of expensive players if you get Ballage. And also Peyton Barber. I'm trying to find reasons to get excited about him, and I can't. And last week, he paid. Like, he reaches value more times than he doesn't. He's had enough bad games to keep the price down, but the price really hasn't caught up to him. Peyton Barber should be priced around maybe $4,400, $4,500, but instead he's priced $3,600. He's actually been okay. He's been very good for his price, but still, I just can't get that excited about Barber. $3,600, basically minimum price though. Moving on to wide receivers. Did you know Davante Adams has been the most consistent wide receiver this year? I mean, look at this guy. Every single game, the man puts up 22 fantasy points. So look at that. 24, 21, 23, 18, 29, 21, 16, 21, 38. Like, so consistent. What's his worst game? 16 fantasy points is his worst game. Wow, he's so consistent, and the only guy Aaron Rodgers really trusts to throw the ball to, especially after Geronimo Allison has been injured. So in a cash game, I can't really think of a better wide receiver to start than Davante Adams, as long as Rodgers is playing. This week, I said it on the podcast, I think could be Adam Thielen's best week of the entire season. The matchup is so amazing. He's completely fallen off the second half of the season, and that's why I think the ownership's going to be slightly down. He's going to have a great matchup going against the slot corner of the Lions. Darius Slay should be on Diggs or whoever else is not going to be on Adam Thielen. I don't think Adam Thielen's going to be playing from the slot. Absolutely love this matchup. There are two things I can say that's bad about Thielen. He hasn't been doing well. We already went over that. And two, Maybe the Vikings don't need to throw the ball a lot, but I just can't worry about that too much. With so much uncertainty at the wide receiver position, the price is finally good, finally attractive for someone like Adam Thielen. I'm picking him in both formats. Who else do I kind of like? I kind of like Edelman. Price kind of high though with Josh Gordon out. Robert Woods, I found the price is pretty cheap, 6,600 here. Long as Goff is playing and Gurley's injured, so I think that's a plus for Robert Woods. And this one here, Michael Gallup, 3,500. It's not really a guy I'm picking other than to stack with Dak Prescott. And Michael Gallup, at this price, he's been getting a lot of targets. Okay, let's not think about this last Colts game, but beyond that, look at that. Let's start at week 10. Look, 3 targets, then 5, then 6, then 7, then 9. The targets just keep going up and up. I really like Michael Gallup as a stack for Dak stack GPP. 3,500, super cheap, good matchup going against the Bucks. And Chris Hogan, sort of like Tevin Coleman, like we're not just like plug Chris Hogan in, Josh Gordon's out, it's going to be great. We know what the Patriots do, right? The Patriots never do what we think they're going to do. They hate your fantasy team, but still, at 3,300, this is going to be a bit chalky, and I do like it. It's super cheap. The targets will be there. I don't doubt that Chris Hogan's going to start. Chris Hogan doesn't have a good matchup, but this price, you really can't beat it. The ultimate wide receiver punt this week is Chris Hogan. At tight end, my favorite tight end is not these guys. Actually, is Eric Ebron. I feel like he's going to have a huge bounce back game. This last game was sort of an anomaly. There's just no way he's going to be bad again. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Eric Ebron's going to get double-digit points. I absolutely love him. I trust Andrew Luck all the way. Let's go. Eric Ebron, what are you going to get, bud? 9 catches, something like that. 9 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown, something like that. That's what I'm feeling from Eric Ebron. And if you want to punt, I mean, there's so many options that tight end's been the worst this year. It's absolutely been the worst. But I like this punt right here. Gerald Everett. He's actually been decent. Been getting about 9.5 fantasy points on average the last 4 games. Look at the last 2 weeks, 7 targets, and he had a huge game against the Chiefs a few weeks ago, making the most out of his 4 targets, getting 2 touchdowns out of those. Now, Everett, my tight end punt of the week. For defenses, there are about 6 or 7 elite options, so I'll just go for the cheaper ones. You could go with the Bears' best defense this year. Colts, now that Odell Beckham's been ruled out, Colts defense is very good. And one that I like that's a bit contrarian, the price isn't that good, and that's what makes them more contrarian, is the Browns with no Tyler Boyd. Look, the Browns, I have them in my Dynasty League in season long, and I made sure not to drop them even though I'm not using them this week because I have high hopes for them next year. They're very talented. If they can get better at stopping the run, get some more draft picks, keep improving, they could be a really good defense. I see them being a top 10 defense next year, and this week should be a solid week for them. Look, no AJ Green, no Tyler Boyd. Joe Mixon had 2 injuries come up this week. And who else we got that's injured? Oh, Andy Dalton, the starting quarterback. Of course, Tyler Eifert's been out. So this team, I mean, we just literally went over every single position they have injuries at. Their top 2 receivers are out. Their starting tight end is out. Their starting quarterback is out. Joe Mixon should be good to go, but still having 2, even if the injuries are minor, that's still not a plus for them. Browns are slated to win. And I like them, man. Sort of like, I mean, I didn't have much faith in the Falcons D last week, but I did pick them in a couple GPP lineups. They ended up working out really well. Best defense last week. I see the same thing with the Browns. Like, I don't have a ton of faith in them, but they have the upside. They have that contrarian attractiveness. I don't think a lot of people will pick them because they're a cheaper, better, more trustworthy options. The Browns just haven't been putting up that great fantasy points this season. So just 100 cheaper than the Browns is the Vikings D going against the Lions. I like them because of the price mainly. Then we have the Patriots D. You can really trust this defense. I feel like it's a great cash pick. It's a decent GPP pick. A great way to free up some salary cap if you need to use it for other positions that are more important, more predictable. Patriots going against the Bills will be low scoring game. I see the Bills scoring 1 touchdown. If they're super lucky, 2 touchdowns, but I don't see the Bills putting up a ton of points. I think the Patriots will have a game plan to stop Josh Allen. Super cheap price, $2,500. By the way, the game is in New England. Then because Cam Newton is out and Falcons balled out last week, I think we have to at least mention the Falcons D, nearly minimum priced, $2,300. And last week I was right about the Niners, guys. I told you they wouldn't be the worst defense, and that special teams touchdown kind of saved it, but they got 9 points yesterday in DraftKings scoring. They did very well. Again, this is $2,000. Look, this is the same deal as last week. I'm very confident they won't be the worst defense this week. They're facing the Bears, a very good team, but the Bears do have to travel from East Coast to West Coast. Vegas doesn't like the Bears that much for some reason, only favorited to win by 4 points. And Nick Mullins has been playing pretty well. He's a decent quarterback. This game might be a bit closer, and it might be low scoring even if the Niners do lose. So I just wanted to mention the Niners as a crazy punt that you can't really rely on. I'm not going to lie, I didn't pick the Niners. Actually, I did pick the Niners D in one GPP lineup. It was like a free contest, though. So let's just say I didn't pick the Niners D last week, and I probably won't. Maybe might pick them in 1 or 2, like free contest, something like that, but don't trust them too much. I ranked all my kickers for this week on the previous waiver wire video, so if you want to watch that, check out the week 16 waiver wire pickups video where I ranked all the defenses and all the kickers, whether they're owned or available in season long leagues. If you want to check out those rankings, go ahead. Make sure you guys subscribe to this YouTube channel by hitting the white couch icon over here. We also have a second YouTube channel with our weekly fantasy football podcast. That's Couchcast. You can hit this orange icon right here to subscribe to that. Make sure you guys like the video, dislike it if you didn't like it, and I'll see you on the next video / live stream.